Hey guys, thanks for checking out this video. Robert the Narrator here. And this video is going to be a narrator review. Yes, a narrator review, a really rare occurrence on the channel. When I started Confessions of a Frustrated Game Master, I totally intended to have plenty of reviews, not just to have my channel to be a gripe fest about how hard it is to be a OG in our hobby, but one of the things that makes it hard for me to be an OG in the hobby is that my time is not my own, and I have a really hard time getting together with folks and role playing. So that is why I don't do a lot of reviews on the channel. I'm one of those type of gamers that if there is zero chance that I'm going to get an opportunity to play a game, I don't generally buy them. So that is the reason. I'm not playing a lot, so therefore I'm not buying a lot. But it's lately, in the last year, I did get the PDF for the Aliens RPG. I got the PDF for Vampire 5th Edition. I'm very interested in those games. Never going to get an opportunity to play them, but I did purchase them. I purchased within the last 2 or so years, I purchased Invisible Sun by Monica Games. Never going to get an opportunity to play those games, but I was so interested in seeing them that I purchased them. So that is the reason that you don't see a lot of reviews on Confessions of a Frustrated Game Master. However, what I have had an opportunity to do is to play board games and non-collectible card games with a couple of friends. So I have purchased some board games and some non-collectible card games, and I figured, hey, why don't I do reviews for those? Now, it's not completely out of the wheelhouse of this channel, and I'll explain why. With non-collectible card games, when you get together with your friends to role play, if a couple of people show up early, and before the game, you can whip out a non-collectible card game and play it. Or if a game gets canceled at the last minute and some people are together, you can go ahead and whip this out if the game has been canceled. So this does relate to role playing and the tabletop RPG hobby, strangely enough. So the first non-collectible card game that I want to review on my channel is Gloom, 2nd edition, by Keith Baker. So Gloom has been around for a really, really long time. I did not realize that Gloom had been around since 2005. I should remember it because the first time I saw Gloom was during the time when I was running a game store many, many, many years ago. So I should remember that Gloom was really old. So the first edition came out in 2005. This is the 2nd edition of the game. And let's go through what the idea or premise of Gloom is. So what it says on the back of the box is the sky is gray, the tea is cold, and a new tragedy lies around every corner. Control an eccentric family of misfits. In Gloom, your goal is sad but simple. Make your freakish family suffer the greatest tragedies possible before passing on to the well-deserved respite of death, and tell the tale of their miserable demise. Pursued by poodles or delighted by ducklings, play cards with horrible mishaps on your own characters to lower their self-worth scores, while cheering your opponents with happy occasions that pile on positive points. Transparent cards reveal your fate. Clear plastic cards reveal or cover up the effects of the cards below. The totals showing through give your score. May the most miserable soul win. So that is what Gloom is all about. It's about making your characters and your family as miserable as possible before they pass on to the afterlife, because the idea is the more miserable your life is, the greater the rewards in the afterlife, while making your opponent's family members or characters really happy. So that is the idea behind Gloom. And essentially the object of the game is to have the lowest self-worth in the game after one player's family has been completely wiped out. So once the last member of a player's family has died, the game is over and everybody calculates the self-worth of their dead family members, and whoever has the lowest self-worth wins the game. I know the title Gloom is very well deserved by this game. So let's open it up. Of course, as you can tell, I've already opened this. Me and my fiance played it, so I actually have the benefit of reviewing this game after having played it. One thing I will say is I'm not a fan of the packaging. That is the easiest this packaging has ever come off. So this design, sometimes it gets stuck and it's really hard to get the top off. That's the easiest I've ever gotten the top off of the game. So you have the instructions here. You have a couple of rules cards here. The game says it's for 2 to 4 players, but they only give you 2 rules cards, which is kind of weird. And then here you are. In the game, you have 4 families, and they have 5 family members each. Something else that's really weird is that the box says the game is for 2 to 4 players, but they tell you what you can do if you wanted to add a 5th player, and that's basically take 1 member from each family and give it to the 5th player, and then everybody is playing a 4-member family. So you have each player will play one of the families, and the idea is, as I said, the object of the game is to have the lowest self-worth at the end of the game, and the game ends when the last family member of one of the players is dead. And I'll show you exactly what that looks like. Camera's a little wobbly here. And the art is pretty good. It's a little limited because, of course, the cards have to be transparent, so there's not a lot of room for art, and the art is kind of gothic and gloomy. So what do you have here? This is a family member. Focus here. I'll show you what that looks like. Focus in here. Professor Helena Slogar, eccentric inventor. Helena enjoys gardening, long walks in the moonlight, and reanimating the dead. And then you have Grogar, work in progress. Professor Slogar is determined to create the perfect groom for her daughter. She still has a ways to go. And so yeah, these family members are freakish and weird, just as they say. So you have the family members here, and then you have cards that you can play on your family members or an opponent's family member. And cards such as this one was galled by gangrene. You put on your family members, and then their self-worth is modified by the card. So Grogar would be -15 self-worth. That's actually a good thing. He is miserable. But you also have cards. Was charmed by the circus. And you put the card down, and as you can see, this is what I really love about the mechanics of the game. These see-through cards, as the description on the back of the box said, is designed so that you can see all of the modifiers that are on a character. And the game is designed that if you play your cards correctly, you can cover up modifications on a character. And why it's very important is because the most important cards in the game are called untimely death cards. Basically, you play these cards on the character. You can only play them on a character who has a negative self-worth, and that character dies. And again, the object of the game is to have the lowest self-worth amongst your dead family members, and these get calculated after one family has been completely wiped out. So you can play those on the character, and that character has to die, but they have to have a negative self-worth in order for you to play an untimely death on them. Some of the better modifiers have negative effects on them. Some immediate effects, like you skip your draw phase this turn. So this makes Grogar neg 30 in self-worth. So generally what I've seen is that when you play really powerful modifiers on your family members, usually the card has some type of drawback. So when you play modifiers on a character, the player who owns that character suffers the negative effect or the positive effect of those cards. And sometimes the positive cards that you want to play on your opponent's characters to make them happy so they don't die and they can't score them have some other effects, like this would make your opponent discard a card. So I really like that. The game is fairly simple. The setup is awesome. You have your family of 5 characters. You draw 5 cards. Your hand size becomes 5. There are cards that can modify your hand size. During your turn, you can only play 2 cards from your hand. But if you play an untimely death, it has to be the first card that you play. So you can't stack a really powerful modifier on one of your characters and then kill them, because that would be too easy. I really like the way that Gloom plays, and it's a fun, quick little game that you can play. Like I said, the way this is related to tabletop role-playing games is if some folks come over early before the game, you can whip this out, play this really quickly, or if the game gets canceled, you can do the same thing. So what do I think about Gloom? What's the overall rating? If you haven't seen any of my other Narraider review videos, I actually score parts of the game using the polyhedral dice. So D4, D6, D8, D10, D12, and D20. D4 means don't even bother with the game, burn it, don't pick it up, don't purchase it. D6 is ignore the game. D8 is the game, that particular area was okay. D10 is good. D12 is great, and D20 is the best. So how do I feel about the art for Gloom? The art is fitting, it's gloomy, it's gothic, but the cards can't have a lot of art on them because of the mechanics, the clear cards, how the game is played. But that doesn't offend me. I'll give it a D8. It's okay. The art is okay. The mechanics. I really, really, really love the mechanics of these games. Playing the cards being plastic and see-through, being able to cover up modifiers. I really love that aspect of the game. So I'm going to give the mechanics of the game a D12. Now, the premise of the game. I'm going to give the premise of the game a D12 as well, because it's a weird premise. Gloom is a game about making your characters as miserable as possible before they die so they can have a really great afterlife. I think the premise is fantastic. And the play. I was afraid that Gloom was not going to be that fun and that deep. I've only played with my fiance, so a 2-player game. I can't tell you how a 3, 4, 5-player game goes, but me and my fiance had a lot of fun drawing the cards, figuring out the best strategies. It was really, really enjoyable, even with just 2 players, and hopefully that will extend. Hopefully I'll get a chance to play with multiple players at some point. So I'm going to give the play a D12 and fun. The game is fun, fun, fun. You have all of these funny little sayings, and what they encourage you to do is to tell a little story as you play these modifiers on on your characters. So you have things like drink too much rye, or things like was devoured by weasels. So they those little sayings on the cards are really fun. The game definitely has a great sense of humor, so that's fun. What I find is that as you play the game, you come across the little sayings over and over again, which kind of takes some of the fun out of the game. But I'm still going to go ahead and give it a D12. So averaging out the art, the mechanics, the premise, the play, and the fun, I'm giving Gloom a D12. So that means that this game is a great game. Go out and purchase it. Play it with your friends. before you sit down to role play, or if the game gets canceled or whatever, you just want to have some fun, go out and play Gloom, because it is a great game. I'm really glad I purchased it. And I hope you are glad you watched this video, and talk to you later. Bye-bye.